Start off, my name is Jeremy Smith. I'm the curator for the Los Alamos Creative District. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. This version of Culture on Tap. This evening, we're going to have Jonathan Geis, Director of Dance Arts Los Alamos. He has put together a 40-minute video to talk about, I'm not going to steal your thunder, I'll let you introduce the video. But before that, I do want to plug Nature on Tap. So next Monday, we will be hosting, the Creative District will be hosting Nature on Tap with Peak. So that's November 2nd at 5:30, not at 5 o'clock. And sorry if any information was wrong on tonight's start time. So 5:30 next week, Nature on Tap. And we will be joined with John Hayes, the Executive Director of the Audubon Southwest. And he will be discussing the recent avian mortality in New Mexico. So he's done some research on that. And if you want to sign up for that, you can go to the Nature Center's website, which is peaknature.org, P-E-E-C, nature.org. You can also find the link to register for that Zoom meeting on the Creative District website, creativelosalamos.com. So either one of those locations. You can also follow us on Facebook. You can also sign up for our newsletter. So I send the week before an On Tap is happening, I'll send out a reminder to anybody that's on that newsletter. Hey, join us on Tap. This is what we're going to be talking about, and anything else that's coming up in that month. And also you can check out Halloween Weekend. Like I mentioned earlier, we've got a lot of events happening for that. And there's links to that page from our website, from our Facebook page. So Halloween Weekend is this weekend. A few different things are switched up. Obviously not Trick or Treat on Main Street. Obviously not the Pumpkin Glow, but we're doing a few other things, trying a few new things virtually. And you can check out that schedule there, Main Street website, also Creative District website. So once again, thank you for joining us on this Culture on Tap. And hopefully I'll see you next Monday. My name is Jeremy Smith, Creative District, and then over to Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. If you don't know who I am, I'm Jonathan Geis. I'm the Director of Dance Arts Los Alamos. It's a real pleasure to be here tonight. So thanks so much, Jeremy, for organizing this and giving us the opportunity to share some of the magic that we do at Dance Arts Los Alamos. So I've created a video presentation to kind of give you a behind the scenes look on how we created Nutcracker on the Hill. If you don't know about Nutcracker on the Hill, you're about to learn a whole lot about it. And I look forward to answering any questions I can afterwards. So I am going to get that on. One moment. Jeremy, could you give me the ability to share?
Of course. Let me see. I thought I did that already. I'm sorry.
No worries. This presentation is about 40 minutes long, and it goes into the history of the classical Nutcracker, how it started, where it came from, and then how we at Dance Arts Los Alamos evolved it into Nutcracker on the Hill. So.
All right, you should have privileges now.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy the presentation. Hi, my name is Jonathan Gass, and I am the director of Dance Arts Los Alamos in Los Alamos, New Mexico. Dance Arts Los Alamos, or as we like to call it, DALA, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. DALA began in 1994 and is dedicated to providing safe, professional instruction and quality performances to Los Alamos in northern New Mexico. For the past 28 years, DALA has provided the community of Los Alamos with an annual winter-themed performance that performs every Winterfest weekend. Typically, we have presented the most notable holiday tradition, the Nutcracker. However, we have also changed things up from year to year, and we've performed Swan Lake, Hansel and Gretel, and the Snow. In 2015, I proposed to the DALA Board of Directors that we create a Nutcracker-themed show with Los Alamos' history as its center. The show, called Nutcracker on the Hill, brings the whimsical story of the Nutcracker to the Manhattan Project. I began my research by contacting the Los Alamos Historical Society to propose the idea and see what resources I could get my hands on. When I began suggesting that we create a Nutcracker story taking place during the Manhattan Project, a lot of people were taken aback. It seemed strange to mesh a story that took place in Germany in the early 19th century with the story of Los Alamos taking place in the 1940s. Since most of the time the Nutcracker Ballet takes a very traditional Christmas tale and brings it to life, it can be difficult to see it in a different light. Now, the dancers, choreographers, and I, we usually spend about 4 months putting the show together from scratch to finish. We rehearse probably about 8 to 12 hours per week on it until we get closer, and then it's every day for like 6 hours. We get to remind everyone how rich our history is and how great our community is. We also get to drive our passion for dance. I mean, who could ask for more?
My name is Vinita Lujan Chavez. I'm on the board at Dance Arts Los Alamos. My daughter has danced here since she was 3, and I'm very proud and pleased to be part of Dance Arts Los Alamos. And Jonathan came to us with this idea of a historical Nutcracker that would tie the history of Los Alamos, which is the Manhattan Project, in the 1940s with the Nutcracker. And I was aware that he had done a historical Nutcracker before in Colorado, but to tell you the truth, since I don't care about Colorado, it didn't interest me at all. So my first impression was, I didn't know how that could be. I thought the Manhattan Project was interesting, but I didn't know how the two could be tied together. But as he started to explain it to us, I immediately became more interested in it because I love the history of Los Alamos. I moved here when I was 1. I grew up here and graduated from high school here. My parents were young man and woman in the 1940s. I love the music. I love the clothes back then. I love the style. And he was explaining a party scene that would be at Fuller Lodge with swing music in the 1940s with spies and all of the things that are part of the Manhattan Project. So it sounded interesting to me pretty soon after I first heard about it. I still am not a visual person and couldn't picture it until it was starting to come together. So I would say I was loving the idea pretty quickly, and as it progressed, I grew to love it even more. I got to be a part of it. I got to understand more of what it was once I saw it on stage, once we got to rehearsals. And my dad worked up here as a teenager during the Manhattan Project. My godmother worked up here as a clerk, secretary during the Manhattan Project. And since I got to be in that party scene, I got to portray my godmother, Carmen Gallegos Jeffrion, and that was a big honor. And I've been able to do that several times that we've performed it. And I love this idea. We have gotten great reviews from outside of Los Alamos on this. And there's a lot of love for this Nutcracker around here in Los Alamos and in New Mexico. So very, very pleased to be part of it. I can't wait to see where it goes now that we're going on with the story. We've done that main story, I think 3 times now, and we're getting ready to move on. And so I'm looking forward to see where we go with Los Alamos and the Nutcracker and the Manhattan Project.
The story of the Nutcracker was written originally by E.T.A. Hoffmann, entitled Nussknacker und Maskone. Said that right. Or in English, that's The Nutcracker and the Mouse King. Now, the original story has a dark theme behind it, which makes it not very child-friendly. But a couple decades after E.T.A. Hoffmann wrote it, Alexander Dumas picked it up, and he published an adaptation under his name. And when he adapted it, he made it a bit more family-friendly. By doing so, Dumas made the tale become a renowned tale, and very popular. Now, the story that Dumas adapted made its way all the way to Russia, to St. Petersburg, to the Imperial Ballet. Marius Petipa, a French ballet dancer turned artistic director of the Imperial Ballet, took on the story and teamed up with his friend Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky, and they began creating the Nutcracker Ballet. Now, the original ballet begins, and the one that's most traditional, I'll say, begins at the home of a prominent resident in town known as the Mr. Stalenbaum, Herr Stalenbaum. And his family is hosting a Christmas party that evening. Herr Stalenbaum has 2 children, Clara and Fritz. And the ballet begins with them running into the living room before the guests arrive to see what presents they've received. After some Christmas-themed traditional dancing, Victorian dancing, Herr Drosselmeyer, the mysterious uncle, makes a surprise visit. And he brings a gift with him specifically for Clara. It is a nutcracker. Later that evening, Clara falls asleep and suddenly mice invade the living room. And she has the nutcracker, and the nutcracker turns into a nutcracker prince that protects her from the Mouse King. They battle, and the nutcracker wins the battle for Clara. Moving into the second act of the original ballet, the 2 travel to the land of sweets, where the Sugar Plum Fairy hears of their daring tale in the battle, and she decides to honor them by asking all of her royal subjects to dance for her in celebration. This is where we get the multicultural dances, or what we call divertissements. And we have the opportunity to see some great cultural dancing from different areas of the world that we might not normally be exposed to. After all is said and done, Clara wakes up on the floor of her living room, thinking all of it to be a dream. The underlying theme for the ballet is Clara making this journey and growing up, really, leaving childhood behind and becoming a young woman. When Petipa's Nutcracker first premiered in the late 1800s, it was not well reviewed. People did not like it. They didn't feel it held true to what a ballet was. Ballet back then was typically 3 acts. Most divertissements or variations tended to be a lot longer so that they could artistically develop, as they said. And Petipa's did not do that. Everyone felt it was too short, too to the point, and it wasn't whimsical enough for everyone. Tchaikovsky also was never really settled with the score. He didn't think that it was his best work. And he thought maybe abbreviating it a little bit, just the music, would help people be more drawn into it. And so he created a shorter version that he entitled The Nutcracker Suite, and it just had highlights in it. What happened then was the music was so popular that most symphony orchestras around the globe made it part of their repertoire. And that then started the fire of creating more ballets of it around the world, which gained in popularity and made it what it is today. As a choreographer, I've always liked productions of the Nutcracker that challenge us with new viewpoints, or take the story to a different place. And I've always aimed for that every time I've created a Nutcracker, which I probably created somewhere around 8 to 10 Nutcrackers in my time. When I was the associate artistic director of the Peak Ballet Theater in Colorado Springs, that is where I created my very first historical Nutcracker. I teamed up with my director and our dancers, and we set out to make a Nutcracker that belonged to the community. It was entitled the Colorado Nutcracker. The party was hosted not by the Stahlbaum family, but by the Palmer family, General William Palmer, one of the founders of Colorado Springs. And then other prominent historical figures in Colorado Springs history visited the party. And I believe I had a performer that did some rope tricks like Roy Rogers, because Colorado Springs he was a fan of Colorado Springs. Then for my second act, I wanted something unique there. So I found out that in the early 1900s, there was a toy shop downtown that was very popular with the kids. So I set the second act, which is typically in the Land of Sweets, I put that in the toy shop. And then the dancers would turn from the toys into real life and dance the divertissements. The community really connected with the Colorado Nutcracker. It became so popular that there was another studio in town that to this day still performs a variation of my idea. So creating a new historical Nutcracker in a community with such a rich history like Los Alamos, it was something that I was really excited to challenge myself with. After contacting the Historical Society, I began getting my music together. I tend to, when I'm creating a new project, I tend to lay the music out first so I can see where the music's going, and that way I can see how the story in my head unfolds. The Historical Society allowed me access to the private collection of photos, historical photos, and I was searching for anything that had to do with the Christmas party so that I could pull from the people that were really there and learn more about the uniqueness of Los Alamos. As we all know, Los Alamos is a very unique town, and it has such a rich history, and it's very innovative. So I really wanted to bring as much of that as I could to the Nutcracker on the Hill. I wanted to, present it in a really unique way. In my research, I learned a lot about the espionage side with Fuchs, and I thought that would be great conflict to involve. You'll find that in Nutcracker on the Hill, we never directly speak about the bomb. Simply because I think that's better to be left where that is at. Instead, the primary focus of Nutcracker on the Hill is on togetherness and family and celebrating the holidays together, with the espionage side of things. So in my story, Oppenheimer, he has a top secret file, and the party's being hosted at the Fuller Lodge. It's Christmas Eve, 1944. And General Groves and Oppie are hosting the party. And so Oppie has this top secret file that he's holding on to, and this secret spy that I decided to keep nameless, simply because I didn't want to name any names on that. I didn't want to say where the character, who his allegiance was. But I personally portray the secret spy. And I do that primarily as a director. I want to give myself the freedom and the ability to get out on stage if anything goes wrong. And the character of a spy allows me to enter and exit the stage anytime I want, and it won't look odd because he can be sneaking or creeping around. So if and when you do get to see the show, if you see the Spy coming out at an odd time, it's more than likely that I came out because something went wrong on stage and I need to fix it. Now, most ballets, they'll have a written synopsis in the program for the audience to read before the show starts to kind of know what's going on in the story. Since it's ballet, so we can't really talk. I don't like to do that. I like to be a little bit more contemporary with how I present my story. So I do a digital presentation that kind of sets the mood. And I feel like that draws the audience to being part of the performance more. So when I was starting out with designing the Nutcracker and writing the story and everything like that, I was still having a lot of issues with figuring out how the conflict would unfold and how we would be drawn in as an audience. So I started creating basically a documentary on Los Alamos and parties in Los Alamos. And as I got about 5 minutes done, I found that it was very boring. Los Alamos isn't boring, not the story or the idea, but my documentary was horrible. And then I decided to throw a plot twist in. And that plot twist, I just shifted everything completely in a different direction using the art of Photoshop. And that's how I found my unique story with The Secret Spy. Here's the opening of Nutcracker on the Hill.
Welcome to Dance Arts Los Alamos' presentation of Nutcracker on the Hill in association with the Historical Society of Los Alamos.
Los Alamos, a town where discoveries are made. In World War II, vital scientific strides were being made on the hill to end the war. Scientists worked around the clock while families waited patiently for them to return home. When it was time to relax, social gatherings were organized to enjoy the company of family and friends. It was a party on Christmas Eve in 1944, hosted by General Leslie Groves and J. Robert Oppenheimer, that our story takes place. A story of love, adventure, and one young girl's dream that would help shape the project. We have some breaking news for you. A man in a mask has suddenly begun to appear throughout historical photography, as seen removing detrimental information from history. We urge everyone to remain seated with your cell phones in the power off mode. Please do not leave the auditorium at this time due to the possibility of unforeseen consequences because of the skew in time.
After the digital intro has played, that's when the dancing starts. Now I needed to find a way to have my audience feel like they were being transported back in time. So I created a section of the ballet I call the time rewind. And basically what happens is it's set to the song Sleigh Ride, but I do a few different versions of Sleigh Ride, and I cut them and paste and put them all together. Moving from the most modern to the most classic, or at least close to 1944 that I could find. So I have artists like Pentatonics opens it up, Debbie Gibson's in there, the Carpenters, the Andrews Sisters. And so as you're listening to this song that's been edited together, as you're listening to it go backwards in time, what's happening on stage is you're watching the dancing go back in time. Now, this gave me a great opportunity as a choreographer to highlight some more contemporary genres like hip hop and jazz, maybe tap if I want. And that way we can highlight a little bit more of what DALA teaches in our academic program. So As the time rewinds, we watch, I have a projection of a hand-drawn exterior of the Fuller Lodge. And as time goes backwards, every decade, we see the building, the construction of it, move back to what it looked like in 1944. We were also very lucky to have Ken Nebel from the Art Center at the Fuller Lodge make 2 statues for us of Groves and Oppie. And so those are on display until I think it was the decade of the 70s. And then before that, they weren't built yet, so they are removed. And then I wanted to also tie in Los Alamos is a really great community for long-lasting relationships, whether it be love, whether it be family, whether it be friends. And I wanted to highlight that a little bit. So I have a couple at the beginning of the time rewind that comes out, and they're older. And then as the next section of Sleigh Ride progresses into the previous decade, we see a younger couple. And then they keep getting younger until you find out that back in 1944, they met as children. After the time rewind completes, we are left with 2 performers portraying Oppie and Groves. They are holding their positions like the statues, and then with the next track of music, come to life. Following a brief movement conversation with Enrico Fermi, Oppie invites the audience into the party. The projection cloth rises up to reveal our impressive interior set of the Fuller Lodge in 1944 on Christmas Eve. The 3-panel drop, which is about 44 by 60 feet, was painted and donated by Robbie Mulford in 2015. Robbie was able to get pictures from the archive to paint a very detailed rendering, so detailed that she was even able to match the Zapotec rug that was hanging on the evening of 1944 in the Fuller Lodge. We have bandstands from the original design of the Keynotes, one of Los Alamos' original swing bands. To keep with the Nutcracker tradition, we have a large lit Christmas tree. Lastly, we have a podium in the center upstage with an original microphone from KRSN. For the characters in the party scene, we went full historical figures from the project. Oppie, Groves, Fermi, Chadwick, Bradbury, Kitty, Brickner, McKibben, Wu, and so many more. My performers were given bios on their characters and asked to bring certain personality traits with them for their performance. The dancers really enjoy learning about the people that are portrayed in the show, and I really enjoy sharing that experience with them. Now, unlike the classical version of Nutcracker, with the traditional Victorian era dancing in the party scene, we do lots of swing dancing. That is where our secret spy enters and starts dancing with the ladies while the scientists are busy with a math equation on the chalkboard. In my research, I learned that equations on the walls and windows during a party were a regular occurrence. The secret spy is there to steal a top secret file on the project from Oppie. After a quick swing dance, General Groves enters and is appalled by the inappropriate dancing. He leads a dance that is much more socially acceptable. Oppenheimer begins telling his guests about the surprise side project that Fermi has been working on for the party, the mechanical dolls. The mechanical dolls that Fermi created are brought out with a few guests using remote controls to make them dance. The mechanical doll is a staple in the traditional Nutcracker. They are typically wind-up dolls that Drosselmeyer brings to the party for the entertainment of the children. For our Nutcracker, we went with a patriotic theme set to Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, composed by Huey Prince and performed by the Boston Pops. after that, Hoppy talks about the history of the Fuller Lodge and Los Alamos. As he tells his story, the stage comes to life with Ashley Pond and the dancers dancing as the Ranch Boys. In my research, it was an annual tradition for Ashley to give the boys a sled for Christmas. I saw this as an opportunity to tie in the Nutcracker. So in the dance, we see Ashley giving each boy a sled, and then the last boy, who has the highest marks for projects, he is given a Nutcracker. When the Ranch Boy dance is complete, Oppie wants to continue on the tradition Ashley Pond started. So he pulls out a special Nutcracker and gives it to Gwen. This is the same action in the traditional Nutcracker when Drosselmeyer gives Clara a Nutcracker. Meanwhile, throughout the party scene, the secret spy is still trying to steal the top secret file Oppie has in his suit pocket. After the Nutcracker dance, the final swing dance of the evening is set to In the Mood by the Airmen of Note. At the beginning of this dance, you will see James Chadwick, a renowned British scientist, run out waving the flag of Great Britain. I did this because it has been noted in history that the Brits always brought the party back to life near the end of the night during the project. After the party scene is concluded, we see Gwen go to bed, and this begins the traditional aspect of the ballet. Music from here on out will be classical in nature, and we follow the usual actions as in the ballet with a few brief exceptions. The battle between the Rat Queen and the Nutcracker occurs, with Oppie teaming up with the Nutcracker and the secret spy with the Rat Queen. After the battle, the snow scene happens, which is a staple to all Nutcracker ballets and absolutely a must. Then Act 1 is finished. So after the narration for Act 2 is finished, Act 2 pretty much runs like a typical Nutcracker. I had to add a few different things. So when we see Oppie and the Nutcracker and Gwen arrive in the Land of Sweets, they're greeted by angels and then the secret police. So I wanted to create kind of a comical police squad that policed the Land of Sweets. I decided to make them Harlequins, and I call them the Harlequinade. And they come out and they introduce themselves to Oppie, and then Oppie invites them to help him track down the spy and get the file back. So they agree, and then as divertissements begin, like normal for the Nutcracker, you'll see the spy being chased by the police across, or being chased by Oppie, and they're trying to catch him. In the end, right before the Sugar Plum Fairy dances, the evil spy is captured. And it's actually the Sugar Plum Fairy that takes him down. After everybody dances, and typically the ballet would conclude with Clara or Gwen waking up. In our version, so this year was the first year we decided that we wanted to make a longer lasting Nutcracker, more of an experience for our dancers. I wanted to have them grow up with something in their dance, be part of a big story, not do the same production every year over and over again. So we've decided to create a trilogy based on Nutcracker on the Hill. And we will be premiering our sequel to Nutcracker on the Hill called Rat Cracker on the Hill. We're planning on doing it sometime this year, and as long as all goes well. Even if that means we have to perform it in June of 2021, we're going to get it done. So I needed to create a cliffhanger for Nutcracker on the Hill. And it kind of needed it anyway, because Nutcracker on the Hill always, I don't know, at the end it was just always that the spy got caught, he turned over the file, the end. It wasn't big enough. So, so what you see at the end of Nutcracker on the Hill now is the spy's captured, and he's brought forward and put in front of the Sugar Plum Fairy, who's about ready to judge him. And the file's recovered from him, and then things take a turn for the worse. The spy, Godsend, he comes out on the stage, and he takes the file and he kidnaps Gwen, and he runs off stage. As he runs off stage, everyone's in shock. And then the Rat Queen and her minions rush out, and they take over the stage. And the curtain closes with the Sugar Plum Fairy taking a knee. So Godsend, the spy Godsend. So I had this idea originally when I decided to create the trilogy, that I needed another spy for a little bit more conflict, someone that was mysterious that we didn't know. And it was destiny, really. November 23rd, it was like 2 weeks before the show this past year in 2019. I still didn't have a name for this mysterious spy. I was just calling him the Nameless Spy or something like that. And then the New York Times released an article stating that the CIA had just declassified information on another spy that was involved in the Manhattan Project. So I read through the article and I did some more research, and they never give a name or any relation to anyone. They say that he was spying for the Soviets, and he was here on the project from 1943 to 1945, which was perfect. It was right in the time frame I needed. The only word that we had for him was his code name, and his code name is Godsend. So that is who the new spy is. And here is the trailer or the teaser, I'm sorry, that followed the Nutcracker on the Hill performance.
All is now lost. The top secret file is missing, and only a few remain to stand against those that would exploit it. The mysterious man has taken Gwen from the dream, only to leave the Rat Queen with absolute power over the land of sweets. He left a note with Oppenheimer that had one word on it: God send. An unlikely alliance will need to step forward before both worlds collide into anarchy. Bravery will be tested. Love must be challenged. What is Godsend? Will a young girl's dream slip away forever?
The first year that we performed Nutcracker on the Hill, the Historical Society archived us into the city's archive, which was such a prestigious honor for all of us and a great experience for the dancers. So we were very appreciative of that. Now, DALA is set to perform Nutcracker on the Hill sometime this school year. Due to COVID-19, I can't give you an exact date, but if it pushes all the way up to where we have to perform in June of 2021, then that's when we'll do it. And then our third installment, entitled Sugar Plum on the Hill, has some great new twists and historical items in it that I bet you didn't know that have to do with the Manhattan Project and Nutcracker. But I can't tell you too much about it. You're gonna have to come check it out. In the history of classical ballet, sequels have been done to the Nutcracker before, but I think that this is the first attempt at a trilogy on the story. And so, along with Los Alamos, DALA is being very innovative and creating something brand new that hopefully will entertain you and your family for years to come. But I have prepared a new teaser that will premiere at the end of this presentation. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share how we came up with Nutcracker on the Hill. I hope you'll come check out the show when it is released and premieres. I'd also like to, thank everyone that supported us through these hard times. We're very appreciative for our family, and we will do whatever we can to take care of anybody in our family. We will now finish things up with a Q&A. So I'm going to go on live here in just a sec.
Bésame, bésame mucho. Each time I cling to a kiss, I hear music divine. Bésame mucho. Be my darling and say that you'll always be mine. This joy is something new, my arms enfolding you. Never knew this thrill before. Whoever thought I'd be holding you close to me, whispering it's you I adore. Dearest one, if you should leave me, each little dream would take wings and my life would be through. Bésame mucho. Love me forever and make all my dreams come true.
Bésame, bésame mucho. Each time I cling to your kiss, I hear music divine. Bésame mucho. Hold me, my darling, and say that you'll always be mine. This joy is something new, my arms unfolding. You never knew this thrill before. Whoever thought I'd be holding you close to me, whispering it's you I adore. My dearest one, if you should leave me, each little dream would take wings and my life would be through. Bésame mucho. Love me forever and say that you'll always be mine.
And we are back.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for doing that video. That was impressive. I must say the backdrop was impressive. At first I was like, well, that looks like Fuller Lodge, but the rug over the fireplace is a little different. And then later I was like, oh wait, that's a backdrop. That's not actually Fuller Lodge. So yeah,
Yeah, we actually when some of our pictures came out after the show on Facebook, people were saying, how did you fit all those dancers in Fuller Lodge?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was at first, and then the close-up photos like, okay, that's Fuller Lodge, and then I was like, wait a second, that's way too wide. So yeah, that was an amazing backdrop. So yeah, and well done. Very impressive. I mean, this is almost like history and culture on tap crossover. So really impressive with the background work that you did for that. I bet that was a lot of fun, and I'm sure I'm just really impressed with what you put into the Nutcracker, and then what you're putting into the two shows coming up. So I will definitely be seeing those. One quick question that came up: if they haven't seen the Nutcracker, and will there be an opportunity to see Nutcracker on the Hill before the second two come out?
Yes, I imagine that what we have been talking about doing is possibly doing some sort of a drive-in and projecting the original Nutcracker on the Hill. And as things are going right now with the pandemic, where we have the Dwayne Smith Auditorium booked in spring. We have 2 dates booked, in spring and then in the summertime in June. So we're hoping it'll be warm weather, and that way we can have a nice little drive-in with some t-shirts and popcorn, and you can check out the Nutcracker on the Hill original story just right before we go into the theater to perform its sequel. So
Great. Yeah, so keep me posted on that, and the creative district would happily help promote that for you and make that happen. Creative district has helped out with a number of the drive-in movies that are happening. This one's Friday, sold out in like 20 minutes already. So I think there's an opportunity there for the drive-ins kind of scenario for getting that out. So yeah, I'd be happy to help out with that going forward. Let's see, going to another question. That one was from Lauren McDaniel. Thank you. There's a couple questions that came up, but I'm going to get to those later when we're talking about DALA specifically. Thank you, Jonathan. I love how you wove history into the story. Please let Historical Society know if you need anything. Liz, of course.
thank you, Liz.
Tomas Ferris from the Los Alamos Little Theater. Will you be including swing dancing in the upcoming shows, tango, blues dancing?
Yes, actually. So not to give too much away, we will be. I'm planning with the sequel to kind of flip-flop the acts. So we're going to have a traditional Nutcracker party scene, but in a way that you've never seen it done before. And then our heroes are going to travel back to the Fuller Lodge, and we will be doing the second act primarily with swing, but all the divertissements will be, I'm going to say, swingified. So that's the goal. So that's what we're working towards.
Okay, so quick one from Liz. Will this that we just showed you, Nutsumentary, be available for people who missed it? So yes, this will be on the Creative District website. So this link, this recording right now, will be available, and I assume that Jonathan, you'll have this available through some channels.
We'll post the link up on our social media accounts and make sure, and we'll probably also, we can put it on our website too.
Okay, and I've also got a YouTube channel if you want to download to that, and then we can make that available so people can just click on YouTube and make that happen easy as well. Yeah, so that was amazing. I was really impressed with the work you did on your video editing and recording. So more than just a director, for sure. Let's see. Okay, somebody specifically wants to know about you. How did you end up in Los Alamos, and why are you still here? You need to be on the big stage somewhere. Like, this is such a small.
No. Excuse me. I actually many years ago came to New Mexico when I was working corporate for Outback Steakhouse. I was a manager for the Outback Steakhouse in Santa Fe, and I still kept my foot in the pool of dance by subbing around and doing some teaching where I could. And at that time, it was 2013. I had done some subbing for some of the classes for DALA, and then I was the director then was thinking about moving on to do something else, and so she asked me if I'd be interested in the job, and we had a few meetings, and I decided to take it, and then moved my kids and my family up here, and we've been here pretty much since. So I did take a 2-year sabbatical in the middle somewhere, but I'm back, and that's when we decided to do the trilogy. So I'm here for a while, and we're excited for it.
I'm excited for it. Yeah. Let's see. A huge thank you to an amazing director and wonderful students. We are very blessed to have such an amazing community. Huge thanks to everyone who has shown support. And so that kind of brings into some of the other questions, support and how the pandemic right now is really affecting DALA specifically. I mean, you guys rely on in-person dance classes and in-person performances. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Right. As I said in the video, DALA is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And we rely primarily on our enrollment for classes in order to help sustain us fiscally as a business. And due to the pandemic, we lost a big chunk of our income since we can't do our performance, because that usually is a large part of our budget that we count on. And when the pandemic started back in March, I should say the shutdown started in March. We had basically 2 days to figure out what to do. And my staff and we put our heads together and we worked very quickly. And I believe it was March 13th, which was a Friday. I could be wrong about that date.
You're correct.
That was the evening that Kurt Steinhaus of LAPS said that the schools were closing down for 3 weeks. Yep. And DALA is a school, so we pretty much follow the LAPS schedule. And so by Monday evening, I was teaching on Zoom and breaking in the system, trying to figure out how to turn my living room into a dance studio and do what I can and keep connected with my kids. And we did it, and it was a huge success, our online program. Everyone was really excited, and it was, for me, and I know for my kids, it was the one bit of normalcy that was consistent through everything that's going on around us. So it was a really big deal, and it was really good. And all of our teachers jumped on board, and we all had great ideas, and we all did the best that we could. However, it's been hard, and we do accept donations. We are doing everything that we can to survive what's going on right now financially. We did get a PPP grant loan. And we have gotten a few other grants from the Regional Development Growth. We got one from N3B. And we are in the running for the CARES Assistant grant right now. However, it's not going to be enough, and we're treading water, but we're starting to get tired.
Yeah, right.
So if anyone out there is willing to help us,
sure. So what's the easiest and the best way for somebody to donate to DALA?
The best way is to go to our website and go to the Contact Us. And send us an email. Our website is real easy to remember, www.danceartslosalamos.org. And if you visit our website, you can just click on the Contact Us and send us an email if you'd like to make a donation. All donations are obviously tax deductible due to our nonprofit status. Even the smallest amount of like $100 helps us continue to teach the classes that are really benefiting our youth right now, and especially our youth, because they're in such a hard place. Us adults, we can adapt really easily, but the kids, it's very, very difficult for them to keep going and to keep their morale up, sorry. So we also accept in-kind donations. And we will also, I've created a 2021 calendar that we will be releasing very soon to help raise money. So if you're interested in that, purchasing one of those, it should be available hopefully somewhere late November after all the approvals go through.
Great. A couple questions that I thought of. Typically how many shows do you have during a year, not 2020 year?
During a normal year, we usually do 2 winter performances and 2 spring performance series. So what that entails is our Nutcracker is 1 performance series, and we usually do 3 shows of that at the Dwayne Smith Auditorium. It's on Winterfest weekend typically, and we usually do 2 evening shows and a matinee show. Okay. And then I also I have a large little dancer group that unfortunately we can't fit all of them on the stage at the same time with the Nutcracker. So we do a winter showcase, and they all have separate dances that they do. We usually do that as a matinee show. We'll do one of those. Sure. And then in the spring, we kind of follow the same template. and we'll do usually 2 evening spring shows. And then we do our early childhood program, another showcase for the younger dancers. And we usually do 2 of those shows.
Okay, nice. Tie in a couple questions, one that I have and one that's up on the screen. Number of students that you have, the age range of those students, the kind of what the classes look like, how long students can start and stay with you, and then also number of teachers you have in the program.
So
If that's too many, I can read them
okay.
again.
Our ages for dance classes start at 18 months and go all the way up to adult. We actually, our 18-month class, it is a mommy and me class. And it's called Dance With Me. And it's a really popular class. It's taught by Miss Natalie. And if anybody knows Zumba or knows Miss Natalie from the Y, that woman deserves her own cable TV show, because she's just so inspiring, so positive, and she gets
so much energy. If I had half her energy, like I would be off the walls all the time.
It would be great. We could all be so
yeah, she's great.
So that's our youngest class, and then when it goes all the way up, I have an adult ballet and adult modern, and we have classes that range from classical ballet. We do jazz. And we do 2 kinds of jazz. We do a lyrical jazz as well as a kind of a funk jazz. And then we do our hip hop. We have tap. We are blowing up our musical theater program right now. So if there are any kids out there that like to do theater but don't want to do ballet or anything like that, we do have musical theater classes, so you can brush up on your musical theater dancing as well as tap. And then usually every semester we try to throw in some wild cards. Sometimes I teach swing dance as a class, and we have some good conditioning classes, which are also available to the adults. So roughly, typically on a normal year, we usually have in the realm between 275 to 300 students enrolled.
Wow,
at this time right now, during COVID, and we are at, I think the last tally was 157. So we are trying to build that up. So if anyone's interested in coming out, the first class is always free to try it out. And you know what? If you don't like it, it's totally cool. There's no hard feelings. But at least come out and give it a try, because you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I highly recommend, trying it out. If you know anybody that might be interested, anybody that just doesn't think they're interested, just go and watch. And I think there's a spark in there somewhere that a lot of people don't realize until they kind of see see what's going on.
Right, but we have classes for all ages and all levels, so that there's no reason to feel worried or uncomfortable. And now all of our classes at this time are actually offered also online. So if you want to try it out, you can try it out from home and see how you like it.
Yep, that's probably a really good idea going forward. Just like here's some intro classes, see if you like it, and then join. Tell us about your location, physical location.
We have 2 buildings that we work from, down in White Rock at 111 Longview Drive. It's where the old bowling alley was. And before that, it was a grocery store. And it's a great building that we love. We have 2 large studios in there with professional sprung flooring. And then our other location is we use the basement in Trinity on the Hill Episcopal Church, and that is at 3900 Diamond, which is right across the street from the football field, pretty much, or catty corner to it. So those are our locations. If you wanted to talk to anyone, our main office is down in the White Rock building. So it's always good to just go online and go to our website and just send us a little note.
Great. Let's see, I've got a list of questions. So, but here's one from one of our viewers. If they're not part of DALA, how can somebody participate specifically in the December performance? But just in general, I mean, I'm sure you need more assistance than you have students in putting on these performances. So how can somebody volunteer to be part of your program?
That's a great question. So whenever we do the Nutcracker performance, or this year will be the Rat Cracker performance, We consider the winter performance as a community performance, and therefore we hold an audition for anyone from anywhere to come in and audition for the show, and hopefully we'll find you a spot in the cast, and you can perform it with us and rehearse with us. The spring show is a school only show, so that one is the one that is specifically for our students.
Right.
So, but we open up to the whole community for our winter show.
Great. Yeah. Yep. Good to know. You may have answered this. How many instructors do you have?
I have, oh boy, you're gonna put me on the spot.
That's just an estimate.
I believe I have 12.
Okay.
I believe I have 12, but I might have 13.
Sure.
And they're all highly qualified in the field that they teach. All of them were either professional or went to school or both. So, my teachers know what they're doing, and they teach really high quality dance as it pertains to their genre. We have a new teacher that just joined us this year, Miss Sam Italiano, and she's from Boston, where she was running a huge musical theater group that was she had a huge following in Boston, and now she's out here in New Mexico with us.
Lucky you.
I know, and she's the kids love her, and she's such a blast to work with. She's got a great energy as well. So if you're interested in musical theater and tap, you should check her out. Great.
Not really a question, but how are you guys so awesome? Nick wants to know. So you guys are not the only show in town. There are other dance organizations. Do you ever partner with some of those in offering these performances?
I believe there's one other dance organization in
Okay.
town, and they're still fairly new. So
Okay.
no, that we haven't discussed anything with them. But when New Mexico Dance Theater was in town before, Susan and I were quite good friends, and unfortunately she had to close her doors. But before she was closing her doors, we were actually having a big talk about doing some performing together for the two schools, because we thought it'd be cool to have all the kids get together on that. Unfortunately, it never happened, but it was something that I was totally open to doing, and helping each other out. I think building bridges are better than burning them.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a few other entities that kind of do some of the dance styles that you don't typically cover, with Irish dance or classical Indian dance or adult ballroom dancing that are out there, kind of. Within
And actually,
within the dance community.
we had a conversation with a couple of the other dance groups pre-pandemic
Mhm.
that we were going to help each other out, and then just because of what happened,
Yeah, of course.
But yeah,
Turkish belly dancing, I think, is another one. So
right.
all right. I'm not seeing any other questions pop up. Let me just make sure nobody's got their hand raised in the chat box. Looks like it's all good. And everybody stayed with us the entire quick Q&A, so that's great. So
the important thing to remember is Dance Arts Los Alamos, we are a staple of this community. We've been here for almost 28 years now, and we want to keep doing what we're doing. So if you have the extra ability to help us out financially, feel free to make a donation. If you want to help us volunteer for us or anything like that, when showtime comes around, we always need backstage help, because it's me and the parents that are backstage trying to put the sets up and everything like that. But all of the arts organizations are like that, so it's always helpful. We survive on our volunteers.
Tell us your website address again, where people can donate.
Is www.danceartslosalamos.org.
All right, thank you. I'm actually going to take a chance to plug The Fourth Spy. You made a mention to that for your one of your sequels. So during Science Fest, there was a talk by Alan Carr. He is the labs historian, speaking specifically about The Fourth Spy that was recently discovered in that New York Times article. And we are going to broadcast that or have it so people can click on the link and watch that recording again during the Manhattan Project National Historical Park 5th year anniversary week. So if you want to learn more specifically about the Fourth Spy,
Wow.
and Alan Carr talking about that, it's a really good discussion as well. And that was brought, through Science Fest, part of Los Alamos Main Street and Creative District. And so thanks for letting me plug that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Connections.
Yeah, of course. So wow, I am definitely looking forward to these performances, and thank you so much for putting this together.
Absolutely,
And,
Jeremy. Thank you for organizing this event and letting us talk to everybody about everything that we do.
Yep. Oh, it looks like somebody else, Christy Harvard, said another way to help DALA is to set up your Smith's Community Rewards. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, we do have other incentive reward programs that help DALA. We have a Smith's route. These are my moms helping me out. See,
Yeah.
I have my moms. We have Smith's Rewards, so you can donate to DALA with that. We also have Amazon Smile, and that helps us out a lot too. If you're in need of any dance clothing, we have a discount dance program on their website that you can get to through our website. We actually on our website we have a community page that lists all of the opportunities for you to donate or help us out. So take a gander at that, and you'll see a lot of information.
Just so everybody knows, the Smith's card. So you go in, you can register, and when you use your Smith's card, you still get your fuel points and all of your discounts, but then there's also money that is given to DALA when you use your Smith's card, and you can choose a number of nonprofit organizations. But if you choose DALA, then a percentage of your purchases at Smith's go directly to them. And also, I think you have to re-register every year. So sometimes if you don't claim DALA as the beneficiary of your Smith's reward card, it'll just fall off and nobody will be getting that. So make sure, like, every year you're checking and making sure that that's still going to the organization that you want. All right, that's all I got. Jonathan, thanks again. This was a great one. I appreciate it. Thanks everyone for joining us for this Culture on Tap. We've got a Science on Tap every month and rotate through nature, history, and culture on tap. This is Jeremy Smith with the Los Alamos Creative District. It's Monday night, and a snowy one. Stay safe out there, or stay safe and warm in your own house. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.